Hi, Aurora Scholars. Welcome back to our second video of the day. We will be doing today is we are still continuing to explore the world of poetry and work towards becoming strong poets just like Jack. And what are we learning in this lesson? In this video lesson, we will be talking about the poem that we have read that Jack wrote on pages 46 through 67. So you can either read that poem on your own, or you can listen to the read aloud that I have included in this video, in this Google Classroom assignment. Also, we will be answering questions about what happens, how Jack feels about it, and how do you know. And yes, you guys are very familiar with doing this already because we've been working on it for a while. So let's dive right in. The materials that you will need. You will need Love That Dog by Sharon Creech, pages 46 to 67. You will need your ELA Google Classroom document, what happens and how does Jack feel about it, headphones if you have them, and a quiet place to learn. Go ahead and pause this video and get your materials ready and press play when you're ready to begin. All right, I'm glad everyone has their materials and are ready to dive right on in. Now, you'll remember from our reading that Jack talked about a lot of different things, and he did something very, very special in our reading. And that's what we are going to type in our first column right here. What happens? What happens on pages 46 through 67? Well, Jack actually writes a letter to Walter Dean Myers and is waiting for a response back. He loved that poem so much that he wrote a letter to Mr. Walter Dean Myers. So that is what happens on these pages. Now, how does Jack feel about it? Think about how you feel when you've asked your parents for something special and they're like, well, give us a while to think about it. Do you become anxious or nervous and that's all you can think about? Well, that's exactly what happens to Jack. He wants Walter Dean Myers to write back, and he is worried that Walter Dean Myers won't respond. So sometimes we still write letters to Santa Claus, and we're not always sure that we're going to get what we want on our Christmas list. And so this is almost like Jack's Christmas wish. He wants Walter Dean Myers to write him back so badly and respond. Now we need to find the evidence in our text that proves that this is how Jack feels. So Jack writes, and maybe he's away, and maybe he's on vacation, maybe he's sick, maybe he's hiding in a room writing poems. And he also writes, sometimes when you're not trying to think about something, it keeps popping back into your head. So maybe you're wondering where I found these answers in our text. So I would like to show you in our text and tell you what page I actually found these answers, so you will be able to do this when you are working on your own. On page 61, when Jack is writing about waiting for Mr. Walter Dean Myers to respond, he actually says that he understands that letters get that authors get a lot of letters and a lot of mail, and that the letters go to Mr. Walter Dean Myers. And here he says, and maybe he's away, maybe he's on vacation, maybe he's sick, Maybe he's hiding in a room writing poems. Now, I could continue to go on and add maybe he's babysitting his grandchildren or his grandchildren if he's married and stuff. But that's not really necessary. All I need to do is write just these 4 lines, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines, these 5 lines to make sure that I've made my point. And remember, I did put that into quotation marks. So let me show you right quickly. I did put that into quotation marks because I did take it directly from the text. And the ... just means that there are words that happen before. So the ... is really all of this here. So it's telling me that this is not the beginning of a sentence. So that's my ... Now, also you may be wondering, well, what page did I find? Sometimes when you're not trying to think about it, something keeps popping back into your head. And that's showing me that Jack is worried. I found this on page 64. On page 64, Jack starts his poem by saying, sometimes when you're trying not to think about something, it keeps popping back into your head. That lets me know that Jack is worried. He is worried that maybe his letter didn't make it to Mr. Walter Dean Myers, or maybe Mr. Walter Dean Myers doesn't think Jack is important enough, but he just can't stop thinking about it. Now it's your turn to complete this assignment in Google Classroom. Now remember, if you need the read-along, it is listed in our Google Classroom assignment with what happens, how Jack feels about it, and how do you know. So you do have that read-along that is available to you. Guys, I know you're going to do a great job answering this. Keep up the good work. Kiss your brain. You got this. And we'll see you in the next video.